Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. Today I have not one, but two guests. I have Laura Westman. She's waving to you, even though you can't see her because this is an audio podcast. And I have Leblanc, Quiney. Welcome to the two of you.
Thank you.
Hey, Laura, that's Laura. And hi, Bay.
Hi.
There they are. We were talking about introductions, and I think this is going to be perfect. So first of all, they shall forever be known as our Royal Highnesses. That's number one.
Please and thank
and
you.
Yes, please and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They are developers of creative leadership archetypes, and we're going to talk more about what that is. They're friends of mine, they're colleagues, and they are the host of the amazing podcast, West of Wonderland, which we're also going to talk about. Officially welcome anything you two would like to say to be here with us today.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah, just excited.
I think just thanks for having us.
Yeah, the fellow Disney, we were catching up. I have a 6-year-old. We're a Disney house. We're a Star Wars house. We're a Marvel house. And so this is going to be a really good conversation. I'm going to try not to geek out with the two of you because I could probably go.
No, this is good. Jason, this is you're a really nice compliment to the two of us because we recently ended up doing a Marvel episode kind of by accident. It just came up at the beginning of the episode. We had ended up talking about Marvel, and I think you're a lot more Marvel and Star Wars literate than we are. So you kind of, you round it out. You round it out very nicely.
Yeah.
So
my Disney at this point, kind of the newest thing for me is I do know that we don't talk about Bruno, but other than that, I don't know a whole lot else right now. But I know a lot about Disney type stuff, so that is true. Disney like Marvel and such. I do want to share as we kick off. Actually, Laura, you reminded me of something. One of my friends just sent me a Myers-Briggs archetype of Marvel characters, and she was Thanos, and I looked up mine. I'm also a Marvel villain. I'm Ego the Living Planet, ENFJ, from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't...
Well, I was going to say, isn't that our friend Kurt Russell?
That is our friend Kurt Russell.
Isn't that our pal
Yes,
Kurt?
he was an entire planet and also was not a very good person. So, Bay, Laura, let's kick this off. We're going to do this just like I always do the show, and now we get to have both of you answer. So, first of all, what's something that the two of you nerd out about? Right. Interesting way to start the interview, right?
Oh, geez. What don't we?
I know. Well, it's kind of fun about answering. We'll content-wise answer this question. But it is the nerding. It is the mutual nerding out between us that actually created our podcast.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So one thing we definitely nerd out about, obviously, Disney parks. We're actually planning our own trip. We're going at the end of April. The two of you? So we're really jazzed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just to set the record straight, you are both married to other people.
Yeah.
And they're not going.
No.
Are they getting together to do anything?
They should. They like each other. Really, this is...
From a distance. From a distance, they love each other.
Like that, Laura and I can go together is probably Cody and Adam's dream come true.
That's probably true.
The service we offer.
Because I think one thing we really nerd out about is there's a lot of different ways to be about your theme parks visit. So I think Bay and I have complementary goals when it comes to what we want to do when we're there. So we nerd out about that.
I love that
quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Bay, what about you? Anything else you'd add to the nerd thing?
Yeah. I mean, we are nerds, so there's that. So pretty much everything. To me, that is not a a bad thing. So Laura,
nope.
In case you didn't know you were a nerd,
what?
Yeah,
you've been outed right here.
Other place. I'm a huge nerd. I'm the nerdiest of nerds and always have been. But I would also say, leadership, organizational leadership, especially. So looking at large organizations, and how leadership can look different, and nerding out in terms of some idealism about our, shared future as a species on this beautiful planet. Mm-hmm. So we can and do nerd out on that quite a lot. But these are not actually that different. They merge with our Disney and general fantasy fiction nerding.
Yeah. Well, anybody that knows anything about Disney, they have a very unique leadership style as well. Like the way they would run the company has been, I think Bob Iger wrote a book about it, didn't he? Is he still the CEO of Disney? I don't remember, but there's like, it's known that Disney has a very interesting management and leadership culture. So we've got Disney. I have a feeling this is not the last time we're going to talk about this today. And for all those who are listening, West of Wonderland, yes, it has some interesting connotations around Disney, and we're going to get into that as well. So, Laura, this is for you first. What's something that's inside your comfort zone that might be outside of somebody else's?
Ooh, nice. I think something that's inside of my comfort zone, outside of somebody else's. Well, before I was a coach, I was an improviser and an improv comedy teacher. And so I think one thing that's inside of my comfort zone is the ability to just get up in front of people and say things either at them, in a leadership way, like moving things forward, or introducing other people, like I think being comfortable being in front of audiences is probably something that's like, inside of me.
How about you, babe?
Yeah.
It's such a funny question too, because of course, most of the time you don't recognize that like it would be out of someone else's, but I would say along with Laura, so background in performance and dance, especially for me, but, if I want to learn something and the only place to learn it is like the 5-year-old's beginner class, I have no problem being in the class with babies so that I can learn and then like progress. And I've done this multiple times. It's how I began.
Nice.
I used to be a competitive Irish dancer. It's how I began that because I was in my 20s when I started that with the 3 to 5-year-old class.
So you'll audit 3 to 5-year-old classes as needed.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm not auditing. I'm like
you're not auditing. You're like in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's also how I started ballet, because I started ballet kind of late for someone training professionally. Yeah. And so I took classes with 5-year-olds, like baby ballet, to get the basics while I simultaneously took classes that were more along my age. And so I just did it all at the same time.
Yeah. Laura, I've heard your answer before a few times in 120 episodes. That is the first time I've heard that is something inside somebody's comfort zone is I'm an adult and I will go to little kids classes and learn. I'm just picturing that's awesome, babe.
Yeah, that's
really
amazing.
Cool.
That's
the
so
funny
great.
thing is, the only reason I really think that I get that it's out of someone's comfort zone is because that I remember my Irish dance teacher being like, "Are you sure you're okay with this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what? Like I got no pride left, so it's fine."
I'm brand new.
No pride.
I'm brand new.
It's fine.
I
can relate to these people. I feel like we're in some ways on the same level intellectually, so it's fine.
I like when they, like they say in coaching, like show up like a 5-year-old. Babe's like, I'm literally showing up like a 5-year-old.
I've got this.
So good. You're like, no problem. All right, so Babe, you get the hot mic here again. Okay. What's something that is outside your comfort zone that you know is going to be inside of somebody else's?
Welcome to our podcast.
What am I uncomfortable with? Like cold calling people.
Mm-hmm.
Or not even, I mean, it's still cold calling, but like there's organizations I really know that I, and increasingly Laura and I together as a team, could do really great work at. And I get really hung up on like not knowing how to approach people or organizations that I'm really interested in. So I'll just like wait, like Snow White, for my prince to come.
Because they will be definitely like looking for you. Yes, that's how it works in sales.
Yeah, and then I get like bitter and resentful about it. But yeah, like I get really uncomfortable with the idea of reaching out and beginning like conversation or relationship with an entity that I'm interested in.
If you or two are willing to pay a commission, I know somebody that is inside their comfort zone. I can connect you to that person. That person is me. That person is me, just to be very clear. Talking to a 20-year salesperson over here. You get that hammered out of you. Like you don't have a choice when you're in sales.
Right.
Yeah. And it's still not fun, but it's more of a comfort thing. So totally normal, babe. I'm not surprised by that. So Laura, what about you?
Ooh. was hoping you'd skip me on this one.
Nope.
I just, Jason, Bae, do you guys ever have a fantasy that like you just have an endless comfort zone? Like it's not true.
Yeah, that actually resonates a lot. I'm like, yeah, I can do anything. Nothing scares me anymore. I'm like, but that's not true. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Like that's where I'm sort of stuck, where I'm like, what would it be? Like what Bae, what you said definitely tracks, you know, like there are some places where that's totally inside of my comfort zone, like making a reach out from connection and relationship. But I'm like, what would it be? What would it be?
I have something for you, Laura, since I know you quite well.
Uh-oh.
High levels of competition around sports. Whether it be talking about sports or participating in said sports.
Oh, yeah, you nailed it. You got it. Totally. Oh my God. On that note, so for those of you who like I'm just meeting for the first time, hi. I'm like, I think I'm a Slytherin, okay? So I have a lot of ambition, but I don't compete well. Like I don't do competition very well. So like I was not like a sports person growing up, and my best friend told me that she has this memory of me saying to her once, like, I just like theater because nobody loses. Like, there's no losing team. I mean, you can hear like the like sensitive, anxious, creative soul being born, you know. But yeah, you're totally right. Like sports and competition very outside of the comfort zone. 100%.
I think what you just outlined, and that's funny. Great. I think what you just outlined is the specific reason I never touched anything to do with theater, because I'm like, there's always a winner and there's always a loser, and we're going to play sports and somebody's going to go home crying, and it isn't going to be me. And if it's me, I'm going to come back out and beat you next time.
Yeah, I didn't get that gene. No. It skipped me entirely.
Well,
so.
You probably had a lot more peace and fun in your... I was like, I loved playing sports, and then when I lost, I was like, I'm taking my ball and going home. Which still shows up today.
I mean, one thing that we do, Bae and I talk about this on the podcast a lot, like the kind of like perfectionist, the way that like as a perfectionist, you kind of design stuff in your life to avoid failing and to avoid being disappointed, you know?
Absolutely.
And like, I think, and so I think, it just comes up a lot, like the way that people who are like, oh yeah, like I do identify as a perfectionist, you know? Like I know for me, you can even hear it in that quote from younger me, you know, like wanting to avoid the like pain and the humiliation of having failed at something or lost. But I think the flip side of it is that like, you know, as a sports fan, like you take that on so that the wins are yours. Like you feel amazing when your team wins. You feel shitty when your team loses. But also that's how sports is like there are wins, there are losses, the game goes on, you know? So I think that's like the like learning for perfectionists is always like, but it's the game. Like you're in the game.
That's why they always, when you're a kid, there's like, oh, just go out there and have fun. And I'm like, yes. And winning is a lot more fun than losing, but that's a whole different conversation.
Mixed messages. Yeah, exactly. They're sending us mixed messages.
I've done I'm like kind of competitive in some ways, and then in other ways not. So I kind of like to be a surprise. So I'll like not, you know, especially I'll like I'll gauge the competition. I did this so much in school, like in PE classes, because I'm actually quite athletic, but I wasn't sporty, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the pressure of the game. So I would just hold back, and then, you know, like track and field week, like the 1 week where they're like, let's all do a bunch of death-defying stunts. I'd be amazing at like sprints and like long jump and high jump. And people are like, holy cow, how can you do this? And I'm like, oh, I'm just not trying any other time because I'm gauging that you're possibly a competitor. So what I'll do is throw the race. Like I'll let you win so I don't lose, even though I lose. Like, so that's the way I kind of play it.
Yeah.
I'm like strategic about it.
Yeah. This reminds me of the movie White Men Can't Jump. And I don't know if you've seen that movie, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. That's like the whole plot is that it's like, oh, we got this white guy who's not very good. Then Woody Harrelson's like a complete baller. And also my strong recommendation is somebody who is competitive. You should use that to your gambling advantage, Bae. Like learn the system.
Yeah.
You want to make, there's an additional revenue stream.
Surprise.
Be surprised. You're like, I've never played billiards in my life, except, oh, wait, I just cleaned your clock.
Surprise!
That's
the other way for me is like Jason, I am that person that's like, I'm just here to have a good time. So, which is part of why I do that competition thing. Like, it's not a good time for me if I get all like caught up in it. But so like we've done things like, group team building things where,
sure,
you've got spaghetti noodles and marshmallows and you got to build the highest tower. And I had done this once before. And then in this other group, we were doing it and I was so excited. I was like, yes, bring it. I'm so excited. And then at the end, it went the way it went.
Yep.
We didn't win. And this one person on my team, we were sort of debriefing and the leader was like, you knew right away you wanted to be on her Bay's team. Why was that? And she's like, she was so jazzed. I figured she knew what she was doing. And then the leader looks at me and he goes, what about you? I'm like, I knew I was going to eat some marshmallows. No matter how this thing went, I didn't care about the activity, but I knew that I was going to eat the marshmallows.
There's a really, really, really valuable leadership lesson that I hear is always understand your people's actual motivations and don't assume.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I love that.
Oh my God.
All right, you two. Amazing. I am going to do something I've never done in over 100 episodes. I'm going to change the next question because I have you both here. It's in the same realm, but it's going to be different. So you all have a really successful podcast. You're the co-host of this podcast. You have one more episode to do and you get 5 minutes to do it. And everybody is going to listen to it. What are you two going to talk about on the podcast and what do you want us to do with the information at the end of it? 5 minutes.
Oh my God. Only. So it's like, this is like our chance at legacy.
This is like legacy. 7 billion people can listen to it. It gets translated. This is like a Disney movie where there's no such thing as like different languages. It just magically happens where everybody actually through osmosis gets the thing that you're going to deliver to us. What would you talk about?
Like the end of Arrival where suddenly like all these things have come together. Okay,
That's right. And we all understand the language. Exactly. Great movie, by the way. So
good.
What would you spend your 5 minutes on your podcast about and what would you want us to do with the information?
Oh my God. I think I know what we would do. You go first.
No, go. You go.
It's like the Newlywed Game.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned earlier, Jason, we talk a lot about this archetype we're developing called the imaginative leader. And so I think if we only had 5 minutes left to get our message out, it would be a very clear reminding everybody that they are an imaginative leader everywhere they go. And having it be like a really specific call forward to solve some really huge issues that are facing humankind. And to remember, Bae, I feel like you when I say this part, but like to really take into account the real magic and the possibility of like everybody choosing to make a difference all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of extra optimistic piece of the imaginative leader that is actually inspiring and the thing that people want to follow. That was my thought.
Yeah, I dig. That's where I would have gone as well. And like adding to it would be like in service of, like what is the experience of being here on this planet that you want to have? Because I really don't believe that anybody wants to live in a war-torn country or be an aggressor or be, harming the environment, because you can't harm the environment. We are the environment. So I would really invite people to look from your dining room table with your family dinners to the leadership that is moving this planet in a direction. What is the direction we want to go and how do we want to feel about it and experience it on this, our one and only ride,
yeah.
And then
100%.
Use imaginative leadership in service of generating that.
Yeah. I would also do, if our 5 minutes aren't up yet,
No, you got some time.
I would probably also do a little bit of a rundown of like some of West of Wonderland's favorite imaginative leaders so far. Mm-hmm. And if you have listened to the podcast at all, you've probably heard us talk about Rapunzel from Tangled as one of our favorite leaders. And Jason, it's because, it's a great movie. Like we love us some Mandy Moore and all, but like the thing that makes Rapunzel so captivating and what makes her somebody that you want to follow is that she truly believes in the fulfillment of her vision and she brings a lot of people along with her,
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. So I think I would ask everybody to also look at like where they can actually bring the Rapunzel energy and have some fun making a difference.
I love that. That is a very inspiring answer. I feel like I should start doing this with more guests and like improv them in the moment because you had no idea that was coming.
Yeah.
You two are literally
but
like,
it was funny.
I feel like you two would actually win at the newlywed game. You're like both like in blocks.
We,
right at sync.
Laura and I met. So I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, but I did my training in Seattle, and Laura's obviously was in New York. And people told both of us, and we did our training at the same time. So we were concurrently doing our training. And people kept telling us over the years, like, you got to meet Bay, or you got to meet Laura. Like there's a you on the other coast. And I think both of us were like, no thanks.
Nah, there could only be one.
Yeah.
So
I don't think so. And then we met and we're like, oh, hey, me.
Totally.
But the good version of me, like the essence part of the me, not the, well, maybe all of it. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out after the commercial break.
Yeah, maybe.
we're gonna go into the hero's journey. So we've kind of had the peaks here. We're really gonna go into the deep dark forest and Frozen right now, and we're gonna be looking for Samantha. So there is another Disney reference, which I think you both understand, and is literally my favorite scene because Josh Gad totally improvised that, and I think it is just hilarious. And I say it to my, I didn't know
that was improvised.
He improvised it. I've read about it. Oh, it's so good. And sometimes I'll say to, sometimes when my daughter, who loves Frozen, because every little girl likes Frozen that I know, I'll say to her, I'm like, I don't even know a Samantha, and she loves it. I'll leave you that.
We have brought Samantha into many episodes of Westman.
Samantha?
Yeah, you're like, what am I looking for? A thing that literally doesn't exist.
Yeah.
A name that I made up. All right, two of you, we're going to take a really brief commercial break. We'll be right back after this.
The Talking to Cool People podcast is brought to you by Jason Frizzell Coaching. Jason works with amazing people who are looking to find and develop their passion and purpose and create their journey to wherever it is they want to go. Check us out at jasonfrizzell.com, Facebook, or on Instagram. Jason loves hearing from anyone who thinks it would be cool to connect, to be coached, or to be a guest on our show. Email him at podcast@jasonfrizzell.com or DM him on Facebook and Instagram. And now, back to some more amazing conversation on Talking to Cool People.
All right, we are back. So I have a nice open-ended question for the two of you.
Great, we're ready.
What else would you like all of us to know about you? Take this one by one. You can take this as a newlywed podcasting team, as business partners, Disney travel partners. You all take this however you would like to take this question.
Thinking noises. I think that what I would want people to know is Bay and I both are coming up on our 10-year coach anniversary. And I signed up for the Accomplishment Coaching Coach Training Program in September 2020. Sorry, that was wrong. 2012.
You were only 8 years off. Close. I like it.
I don't know what just happened. 2020 clearly has emblazoned itself in my brain, and it's just not ever going to leave. That's the truth of that. But I think the thing that I want everybody to know is that 10 years has gone by so fast and yet so slow at the same time. But I'm really, really pleased at where I am at in this slice of life 10 years into this career path, and I think that this podcast that we started was really born from Bay and I really enjoying each other's company and just realizing how much farther we get in conversation when we're getting to explore stuff together instead of it just being one of us at a time. And that, we were joking before the commercial break about no way, we could never really be friends or something like that, And but that I think is also a mark of, for me, the transformational work that I've been doing, that I'm not interested in being weirdly competitive with another woman in my life. I want to enjoy her and enjoy who we can be together. I know Beautiful. That sounds really ironic because we just talked about sports competition and whatever, but I think competition among women socially is, obviously where it's socialized into us. We see all these narratives growing up about how we're supposed to be in all these different situations. And so I think that like what I want people to know is that like, Bae, you are true blue, and I love you forever. Also that we share a birthday.
Yeah, it's
What?
true.
You share a
And
birthday.
it's not just any birthday. Yeah.
It's a really special birthday,
Okay.
actually.
You can't just like tease us like that. What's the birthday?
It is
What's special?
08. 08.
Go ahead.
And then 80 and 08. Or 888. So it's so hard. August the 8th. I was born in August the 8th, 1980, and Laura was born August 8th, 1988.
And our podcast was born August 8th, 2021.
That is...
Look at Jason's face.
That's mind-blowing. I thought for a minute you were going to break out that your birthday... And Laura actually knew when your birthday was, but I thought for a minute you were going to break out it's May 4th. And I'd be like, okay, this is just too perfect.
Oh, no, that'd be amazing.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so
we should have launched our podcast. We'll do something special for May the 4th sometime. That's what we'll do.
Just by way of putting my lineage in here, my daughter has a 2/2 birthday. So her birthday this year was 2/2/22. That's pretty cool.
So great.
Pretty cool.
So cool.
It'll never happen again in her lifetime. So
wow.
Wow, that is really wild that you two share a birthday and it's all the 8s. So is 8 both of your favorite numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course.
Well, that would make sense.
There's no other choice.
If Laura was going to play sports, that would be her number.
Totally.
When I was a kid, if like, you know, do you guys remember cakewalks? Like, was that a thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I grew up in Minnesota. Absolutely. That's a thing.
Okay. I once won 3 cakes in a row on the number 8 at a cakewalk. My mom,
of course.
Oh my God.
My mom made me give back one of them. She's like, this is embarrassing.
It's like, but Mom, it's literally my number.
A cakewalk.
It's
actually my number.
Yeah.
Before we get to you, Bae, I have a question for both of you. Mm-hmm. If you two would have met each other 10 years ago, would you be friends without doing any sort of work? Would you just have met and been like, hey, this, or is it through the personal development work and all the things that you've worked on that has it work for you?
No, I think we would have been
Honestly,
friends. We have so much in common anyway.
Yeah.
I think we would have been friends, and we're constantly finding out more ways that we're the same human. So, I mean, and sometimes that doesn't work. Like, and sometimes you don't want to be around yourself. But I think we're both like, you are delightful, me.
Yeah, I know.
This reminds you two are reminding me. I'm a big Seinfeld fan. Have you ever seen the episode where Jerry dates Janine Garofalo, and they're like actually the same person, and they actually look like each other? And like, if I remember right, it's been a long time, but he like comes in and she's like eating Cheerios, like he's Cheerios, and he's like, oh my gosh, and then it just falls apart so badly at the end of the episode, like every Seinfeld episode. But so you have not had you two are not the Jerry and Janine. You've actually made it.
No, we make it work.
No, I think we've made it work.
So.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Awesome.
I do think that like if we'd met 10 years ago, I would have had a lot of like low key jealousy that I wouldn't know how to manage. Like, I think that was just part of my emotional life when I was 23, 24, like during that period of time.
Right,
so
because
like
you would have been 23 or 20. Oh, just let me lay on the floor for a minute.
Tiny little baby. I know.
Aww. And I would have been.
I would have really looked up to you, but like be scared to be vulnerable with you because I would be kind of jealous of you.
I think that would have gone away really quickly because I disarm people.
Okay.
So I just think that would have gone away. And I would have been, 10 years ago. So I would have been just fresh out of my MBA and like really committed to working at Lululemon, which was my life goal at the time. And I would have just been really complaining about where I worked a lot. I've been really fun for you, I think.
It's all right. I mean, where I was at the time, like, sorry to put it this way, but you know that phrase of like misery loves company? Like, I had a lot going on. Like 10 years ago, my parents were divorcing. I was like, what is my life's purpose? Like there was a lot of like existential swirl going on. So, yeah. Jason, did you expect this long of an answer when you just asked us that like really simple question?
The answer is a resounding yes.
Okay.
So Bae.
Okay. Cool.
So Bae, we know that you used to want to work at Lululemon.
Yeah.
And we know that you have no problem going and doing classes with people that are 30 some years younger than you, because I did the math on when you were born. Because I'm good at math in that way. So what else do you want us to know?
Several feet shorter.
Several feet shorter. but maybe more agile because they're closer to the ground, which can be a good thing. It's like skiing.
Well, less afraid of falling, that's for sure.
Less afraid of falling. Yeah. So Bae, same question for you. What else do you want me and the audience to know about you?
That's like a great question. I'm like, I don't know. Does anyone need to know anything about me? There probably would have been a different answer 10 years ago, but maybe these days, well, just how like committed I am to the work that I do and the difference it can make for the world. And I think especially after oh my gosh, I don't know, last 3 weeks, last 2 years, last 6 years, like, I don't know, it just feels like we're getting pummeled by a series of like a set of waves on a surfboard. And I'm still really committed to us moving through this. So, maybe this is the thing. Like, so I forever, giant nerd, remember? So love Star Trek and have always wanted to live in a version of Earth where it was like Earth in Star Trek Next Generation. So Earth is kind of like, now it's a part of a federation of planets and space, and Earth itself is almost like a country. So all of the people and nations on Earth become united. And I have always wanted to live in that reality. And I can get kind of tanked by despair when things happen that I feel like move us further away from that future. And like, I don't understand why anybody isn't like aligned with like, don't you see how amazing it could be, how beautiful we could make this thing? We could make it better. Why not make it better? And so sometimes, and I would say the last few years have been lots of these moments where it's just like, oh my God, we have all these opportunities to step up and people keep stepping back instead. And that's hard for me.
Yeah. As you were saying that, because we're talking nerds and I'm a Star Wars nerd, I was thinking about the friendlier version of Coruscant. Like, isn't Coruscant just one big like city, but it's an empire planet? Isn't that where all of that? So and you reminded me because I had forgotten that in Star Trek the Earth is like one big. It's governed by the Federation, and that's interesting. Oh, you just reminded me. I need to go back and watch some Star Trek.
Oh, so good. It's only better now.
Is it actually better now?
I mean, it's the further back you go, they're so bad, but it's amazing. Next Gen's my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. Though the new Picard is spectacular.
I heard it looks really well done.
It's very, very good. But yeah, so Adam and I we watch Star Trek all the time. And there was a time, so Adam and I have been together this summer will be half my life. So 21 years. And I don't know when, like fairly early in our time together, he had come home with some friends, I think. And I was watching Star Trek and they were like, I could hear them be like, how did you get her to watch it? And he's like, she came that way. Like, I found
she came
the
that way.
ultimate woman for me.
No assimilation necessary. That's amazing.
Nope.
She was a pre-Trekkie.
Yeah. So I just want to say, if anybody from CBS is listening, we would love to get some sponsorship for this episode. Paramount Plus,
100%.
Picard. I don't know when it airs because I don't watch it, but we would love to get some ad dollars. And Bae and Laura, I will split those ad dollars with you.
Or
great, assimilate us.
I don't
We're
even
ready.
care about money, but can I be on the show?
You'll be like a Klingon. You'll be like,
I'll be anything. I'll be anything.
Again, going back to Star Wars, did you know that Daniel Craig is in Force Awakens and he's a Star Trooper? Or he's a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Or like that, or there's been some famous people that have been zombies on The Walking Dead. Like, that's all Bae needs. She doesn't need to be on the bridge. She can be like the alien that gets blown away right away, just as long as she can be like, that was me.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
We believe in possibility here. I love it. All right.
Yes.
So I'm not going to lie. I'm a little scared because I'm about to ask you two a question, and you two get paid to ask good questions for a living. Questions that are confronting. So Bae, Laura, what do you want to ask me? And you can ask me anything and I'll answer it for you and for everybody listening.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm a little scared over here. This might be the thing out of my comfort zone, is asking two amazing, powerful people who get paid to ask good questions to ask me a real question. I have no idea what's coming.
Mm-hmm. Beep, bop, boop. Thinking noises.
This is them calculating how can we totally troll you live on the air here.
No. No. It's me, Jason.
I know. You're like, I'm not going to compete with you on that.
Definitely not.
No.
What? Okay, I have one.
Yeah, babe.
What is the one issue, just one, so you could have more than one, but what's the most important issue to you that if I handed you a magic wand, you would just like to tap and resolve?
Beautiful question.
And it could be in your personal world, it could be in the world. So
yeah, it would definitely be something outside of just me. Because I'm committed to like large impact. So I just want to, is this like a thing I could literally wave my magic on and it could literally go away?
Yep.
Magic, remember?
Magic. I think it would be equal access to education for all children. No matter where, no matter income, where they lived, like the ability, if I could be more specific, it would be the ability for all children to be able to go to higher education, to learn what they want to learn if they wanted to. I don't believe that everybody needs to go to college. I believe that should be a choice linked in for the parents of the kids. But the idea that all children actually get a level of education that has them set up for success in whatever they want to do, regardless of the cultural construct.
Cool.
Great question.
I love that.
Yeah. I think that, and I want to say a little bit more about this, Bay, because you talked about like the conflicts. I feel like that would address a lot of that. Not that the education system is perfect, but as you learn more about the world, I think that just has you more aware of like, hey, this affects other people that aren't like me or don't live near me. So really beautiful question. I've never answered that here before. Cool. See, it told you all. I'm going to get deep and
it's awesome.
Right in the heart question.
Totally. Well, since Bay went really big, I'm going to go like very at home with this one, you know?
Yeah.
So Jason, I'm curious. We know you're a dad.
I am a dad. I talk about the kids on the podcast. Yep. Yeah,
you're a dad, you're a husband, you are an entrepreneur, you're a podcast host. Like you wear a lot of hats.
I do.
I'm curious, like, what do you think has made the biggest difference for you since becoming a parent with regard to like your own creative identity?
Parent and creative identity. Yeah. This is going to sound cliche.
Because like the...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No,
well, I was just going to say, because... So I'm not a parent. And...
You're a pet parent. That's a parent.
Oh, I definitely am. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. I run a household.
Yeah, you got a household. They're just I have
responsibilities.
I think, Bay, I saw one in your video. I think you're a pet parent as well.
I am a pet parent.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, but I think that maybe this is generational, like because we're all more connected on social media, we're just talking about it more. But you know, like having kids, your priorities change fast, and your identity is an identity shift. And I think I relate to you as somebody who navigates like success professionally and like being a leader at home in a way that's really like authentic. And so I'm curious. Yeah, like from that perspective, that's where my question came from was like, what makes a big difference there?
I love it. So it goes back to the perfectionism and the fact that I'm probably the furthest thing from a perfectionist. I'm a starter. I generally know that it's not always going to go well, but I do it anyway. So when it comes to the home life, well, and the other thing I would say that's even more important than that is marrying well, which I know you two have done as well, but marrying a partner that like you're aligned with on that stuff. And then you have a similar vibe toward like, let's get it going. Let's do this together. And it's not going to be perfect, whether you're married, whether you have kids, whether you're a parent of a thing, whether you're buying a house. For those of you who have bought houses recently, like just being aligned with your partner, that's the number one thing for sure. But for me, it's like, I have a high level of trust in myself. So even with parenting, I'm not a perfect parent, but I just trust that whatever it's going to be enough. And Laura, you know this well about me. The thing I'm most committed to in life is fun. And which is why we're here in the podcast, which is why I do all the things you just listed. And for me, I try to bring a lot of fun to the parenting and Maybe not so much to the marriage all the time, but you know, working on it. So for me, like I really have an eye towards what will make this fun for me and make this fun for, and we're talking parenting for, and I've talked about our kids a lot here. Hannah is our 6-year-old. Charlie Bear's our 1.5 years. He's a 1.5 years now. He's a 1.5 years next week or 2 weeks.
Wow.
Time flies. Pandemic baby.
Yeah.
So the idea of just like, I'm really just committed to fun, and I trust that when it's fun, that's going to work out. So for me, it's like I have a real disconnect from perfectionism most of the time.
It's
and
cool.
Well, it's also very freeing working for myself to not have to be perfect, because when I worked in sales, you kind of have to make a number by the end of the quarter, by the end of the year, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have a thing like you kind of have to do, or you don't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's more like, and as a parent, it's like, I don't know, like I've never had a 6-year-old before. I've never had a 6-year-old, and I'm just going to share this. She pulled down her pants and mooned me the other day and said, and she said, look at my booty. And I said, nope. And then I laughed my ass, and then I went away and I laughed my ass off. I've never had that happen to me before.
I feel like I'd be proud in a moment like that.
Oh my God,
right,
it's
we
amazing.
We don't do that outside of the house, but that was a 10 out of 10.
Here's what actually goes through my mind with those sort of things, which is why, you know, some parents will be like, my kids do this. I'm like, no, that's hilarious, because I think to myself, I'm like, I might do that now at 44. So there's just very apparent where this is coming from. It's very apparent where this energy is coming from. I love the comedy. I love the physical comedy. Look at my booty. Hilarious. So yes, we show up as parents, just like as coaches, we show up as like, yes, I'm flat. And then behind it, you're like, oh my dear God, I can't believe that just happened. This is a hilarious or a complete disaster. So yeah, for me, it's like, I've never been much of a perfectionist. I'm just much more of a starter. I'm not attached to it having to go an exact way, which is very freeing. And
it's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that actually generates from like being raised in a household like that. Like my parents are amazing, both still alive, raised with a lot of independence, and that, it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to give it I'm like somebody, I like to give it my all, but know that it's not perfect, which is kind of a fun combination. Be like, I know I left it on the field.
The ideal combination, you know, like
it's pretty
your willingness to do it.
Yeah.
And like letting it go how it goes.
Yeah. It's pretty fun. You know,
Can you write us a how-to guide for those of us who are perfectionists?
Yep, I'm going to do that. It'll be on my website, jasonfrizzell.com. I will sell it for $97, and that will be my ticket to my billionaire retirement status. Because if I could just tell you how to do it, I would put everybody else out of business, including all the self-help people out there. But yeah, thank you. Both really, really thoughtful questions. I enjoyed answering those for you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. That was fun.
Yeah. All right. Bae, Laura, what are you two passionate about?
What aren't we passionate about?
That's literally what I was going to say.
I know. Stop finishing my sandwiches.
When are you? Have you two ever done an improv team, like a 2-person improv show together?
No, but we both have a background in improv and theater.
I feel like you two would crush it because you're so in sync. And you know what you're listening to.
Well, we would, but we would also just really enjoy ourselves, and the audience might have no idea what the hell is going on. So that's
to be fair. I have seen some improv duos where like they love each other so much that it's like a treat to watch because they're just enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah,
so much. But like, I think that's what our podcast is for. Is like we just are of one brain, but like it's just slightly different enough that it's super interesting to navigate together.
Yeah.
What are we I think we're passionate about people getting that they matter to each other. I feel like if I had to like boil down a lot of what we talk about with imaginative leadership, but also like so on our podcast, we talk about the new Disney Pixar movies that are out as relates to imaginative leadership. We talk about fantasy books and stories. We talk about going to the theme parks that make those things really real. But I think one of the common themes is we're always kind of investigating the question of like, what makes these things resonate? You know, like what's deeply resonant that actually has this stuff matter? And I think a lot of it is like when you're consuming stories like this, or like you're at a park and you're participating in that fandom, a lot of it is just having this experience of feeling really seen and celebrated. And I think when I think about like a lot of what our podcast boils down to, it is like really highlighting the opportunities to like make sure other people realize like how important they are. And and how important their work is and their legacy is, and that kind of. So I'm like very deeply passionate about that, and about like parents in particular also understanding like how special their role is, what a difference they make every day, because I think they're very under acknowledged.
Can be. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Laura. How about you, babe?
I got very serious about that.
Yeah, very.
You're like, I'm very passionate
very
about
serious. I'm passionate about a lot of things, but that's just the thing that came to mind, I guess.
I love it. Babe, how about you?
Same thing, passionate about a lot of things. That has been shared with me as a detractor of my, like, you're like, but you kind of care about everything. Like, it's true. I do. But I would say I care a lot about people. So my background is bizarre, but maybe this part isn't. But my first degree was anthropology. So I primarily
people
focused people and culture and social everything and understanding. And I wonder how many of the problems that we have are like the social illnesses that we see, like, they go from one person to a family to a community to ultimately the planet, right? And we see the long end of that whip, the tail end of it. And so, the impact of it is huge. And I really wonder what could happen if people really understood that, like, whatever you're feeling right now, like this moment, the thing that you're feeling right now, it's totally fine. It's totally normal. It makes perfect sense. And there's nothing you need to do with it. Like, it's fine. Like, because I think how much suffering is born of our inability to be with our humanity and our unwillingness to recognize and own that, like, we are fauna. We are creatures. We are mammals. Like, we are primates. Like, and to understand that we hold a different set of expectations for, like, your pets in your home, or like a gorilla in a zoo, and like we are that, and nothing we do doesn't make sense. Nothing we do doesn't make sense, including how you feel.
Totally. Yeah, it's all there for reason.
So I really and I was raised in I honestly don't know, chicken or the egg, and it doesn't really matter at this point, but like very much in a space that all of my feelings needed to be controlled and managed, and they weren't right, and they shouldn't be there, and maybe I shouldn't be there, and I take up too much space. And I think a lot of people have that experience, and it's like, my God, you get one ride, I believe. I mean, we might have more rides, I just don't remember them. So I'm only going on the basis of the one I know for sure.
Exactly.
And it's like, what a waste of a beautiful gift to spend the whole time looking at our own belly buttons, thinking that we're wrong to have a belly button in the first place. Yeah. So I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah, Bay, you're reminding me, I believe it's Brene Brown who said, I heard this on a podcast, I think it's Brene who said this, that one of the great human fallacies that we believe we're thinking creatures that sometimes feel, and the truth is we're actually feeling creatures who sometimes think. And if you just realize that actually feel, I think it's Brene Brown. And like, if you can actually own that it's all normal, your life is so much better.
And the permission you give to yourself, you give to the people around you, and maybe it goes the other way first. It doesn't really matter, but just to practice doing it.
Yeah, but
there's a quote that it was from a podcast that I listened to, and it was Elizabeth Gilbert, and I can't remember who's. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't remember. I'll like Tourette's out the name in like
you can do it. You can
10
do
minutes.
it. You can do it.
Long dark hair. She used to be a fitness instructor. She's huge in personal development.
Marie Forleo?
Marie Forleo. Thank you.
Marie Forleo. Yeah, B School. Yes.
So Marie Forleo.
You said the hair, and I was like, oh, I know that luscious hair.
Yeah. Marie Forleo was interviewing Liz Gilbert and of Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic. And I was actually running around a mountain in Scotland listening to this interview, and there was this moment where
it's so charming.
It was it was a beautiful day. God, it was amazing.
Sounds amazing. I
was listening, and she said, Liz was like, the greatest like to hide God inside of the like monkeys that are humans was like the best trick you could play, because we are the last place you would think to look for God. And it's like, but it's actually the first place that it is. And so it reminds me of that same idea.
I love that.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So we've been serious for a little bit, kind of serious. It's about as serious as we're going to get here, probably. Bae, I have a question for you about passion.
Yes.
And I'm improving. Yeah. You have no idea this is coming.
I have no idea any of this is coming. So to be fair,
you didn't see the questions. Okay, great. Perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
So the original Star Trek characters, the original Star Trek, the one I'm most familiar with. I was a huge fan. Mm-hmm. Who were you on the USS Enterprise, and who is Laura?
That's fun.
Okay. Original series. I'm not going to be great with the names, but I'm going to say that Laura would be the Doctor.
Oh, Bones McCoy.
Bones. I was hoping you would say that.
Because she's she's reliable, always there to take care of people. She's a good listener. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and this may be self-aggrandizing, but I'll explain it. I think I would be Captain Kirk, not because of being an incredible leader, but because I'd be like kind of oblivious and likely to take action without preparation, i.e. not reading the questions before this interview.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I was also going to say amongst friends here that and I would also probably be the one who would end up having relationships with aliens, but that's
I'd be like, I would have like a room full of tribbles.
You'd be like, oh, that green weird alien looks like they could be a good lover. Let's just go after that. That's totally normal. Totally normal.
Seems
that's
cool.
Great. I love it. I identify with Captain Kirk too because he's such an improviser.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. Let's go down to this planet and see what we figure out, and then Spock's like there is no improvising available. We are going to have the plan.
Yeah.
Very
he's
cool.
a very Captain Kirk is a very feelings oriented leader.
Totally.
He's like, I've got this gut feeling. This needs to happen. This needs to be explored. He's kind of Harry Potter like in that way. He's kind of impulsive.
I want to say, how on earth did he get appointed as captain? But then I'm like, because his crew made up the other unnecessary.
Look at the leadership lessons there. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. He's the guy who had the vision
and the team lessons.
The chutzpah to do the bold things, and then he had a team of people who are like. He's like, we're going to do this thing. And they're like, here's how we're actually going to do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, great.
And he's like, cool. And also he had a ton of trust in his crew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Spock to be like Spock and Bones and like numerous people to be like, I think this is a horrible idea. And I'd be like, it's cool. Let's go.
He's like, I trust you. I think we have enough fuel to get back from those light years.
No one wear a red shirt. Okay.
So good. I'm sorry. I just had to ask that question. I don't know why. It just came to me.
It's great. I loved it.
All right.
It's a great question.
Bae, question for you. What's something you're afraid might actually be true about you?
About me? Am I going 2 in a row? Okay.
Oh, yes. We're getting real wet. We're going straight Captain Kirk here. You have no idea what's coming next.
What am I afraid might be true about me? Well, sometimes I get afraid that my like the part of my fear that shows up, the survival mechanism that can kind of play shy and hold back, has wasted too much time. And so that some of the impact that I could have will be curtailed by the time I have wasted just kind of being fearful.
Okay. So second part of the question, what do you do to compensate for that fear?
Call Laura.
Mm-hmm.
I probably take on a lot. So I'll have a lot of projects on the go at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'll have like a grandiose vision and not a lot of steps to take me there.
Yeah. Thanks, Bae. How about you, Laura? What's something you're afraid might be true about you?
Ugh, I knew this was coming. I was like noodling over it when you asked
the homework. You're smart.
Captain Kirk, Bones McCoy.
Literally.
It's perfect. Not totally similar. Let's just be very clear. You have some differences, and that's why it works, probably.
Totally, yeah. Well, I went to one place that was like my first response when you asked the question was I was like, I guess I'm afraid that I'm still full of it. Like some of it is like imposter syndrome. Some of it is like, fraud stuff. But I think it's all kind of in that vein of like, oh, I'm kind of full of shit. I'm not actually good at enrolling anyone in anything. I'm still a manipulator. Like I think that's a fear that I have. And I also think, in terms of like afraid is true. This is a very, I can feel myself even judging this insecurity as I'm about to say it out loud, but like, I do have this fear that it may be true that I'm just not feminine enough. There's some like chronic not enoughness, not pretty enoughness, like some kind of downward spiral there. And it's sort of like unanswerable, but I think like to your question about like, what do you do to compensate for that? Like, for either one, because they're both kind of like in the realm of like not enough or like never enough,
Yeah.
So like there is the healing work that's just gonna probably always be there, but some of the like what I do to compensate for it used to be from my survival mechanism, like make sure that I lose enough weight to feel acceptable or this or that, all the like controlling stuff. But now I think it's a little more essence based. Like I think this, like my responses for it and with it are kind of more based in my essence. Like this year I was last year, 2020. What year is it?
It's 2022.
know, right?
Yeah, totally. It's 2022.
Okay.
I think it's 2022.
I don't know why that just have Jason, I was telling Bae that like in my mind it's 2023. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's not. But like in my mind 2022 is over. I don't know what that means. Point being last year 2021 I was like, this is my year of beauty, and I didn't really know what that meant, but I think one of my biggest takeaways was like I just had the opportunity to like really enjoying beautifying instead of using beauty as a way to like try to be acceptable, so like I kind of enjoy this. Aren't you just enjoying this, listening to me talk about things like beauty and makeup? I think I enjoy like a daily regimen for makeup and stuff that I never have before. And I think I'm learning to enjoy clothing and like my presentation in a way that's like a celebration of me and self-expression, instead of being like either trying to like squeeze myself into how I should be or like how I should look, for example.
That's really
Does that make
beautiful.
sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's really beautiful, Laura. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
both.
guess I don't really talk about it that much.
Yeah.
It's nice to talk about. Yeah.
There you go. We'll have to have you back on very shortly, and we'll really dig in.
I was gonna say, just you come hang out with us at West of Wonderland. It'll be like this fountain of like, you know, women's leadership and also women's insecurities. I think it's
Well, Laura, you know this about me. I spent the first 20 years of my adult life with a bunch of people who look just like me and are identify as the same gender. And then my life did a real 180 real quick, and I spend most of my time with women. So, including,
that's right.
Yeah, and I've got my wife is quite feminine. My daughter, I don't know if you'd consider the shaking the booty a feminine thing. I think it's kind of a tomboyish thing. Yeah, but
that's
feminine. Great. Yeah, it's feminine. Yep, shaking the booty.
Yep.
Women. Yeah. So
I don't know where. I don't know. Maybe it's not even
sing,
gendered.
My body's too bootylicious. I didn't hear a guy sing that song. Not to make it about gender.
That's true.
I was gonna say, to me, that just sounds straight up like 6-year-old to me.
Yeah.
Like genderless, just straight up being
just
6.
Butts and farts and poop and all that stuff is amazing. All right. You mentioned West of Wonderland, the podcast. I would love to spend a couple minutes talking about the podcast. I'd love to hear the genesis of it. I'd love to hear about, I'm going to stack some questions for you both. These are more topics. The genesis of it, what you hope your audience gets from it, and what you two love about it, because I know you're really passionate about it. And you've already sprinkled these throughout, but I'm giving you a chance to bottom line the podcast, and then also, of course, where can people find it? What's the name? How often does it come out? All that good stuff. So who wants to go?
Me? Okay. Well, I don't even remember. I think we were just hanging out and talking. And especially I think with COVID happening, Laura and I like felt pulled together. And then finally COVID made us have the excuse to like, oh, human connection be a good thing. And so we made the time for it. And then we were looking at like, we should partner in some way. Like there is a magic that we can bring together. And then we were sort of just talking about that. And then I'm pretty sure it was Laura's idea. Like, we should do a podcast. Generally speaking, I'll say like the ideas come from Laura. I'm like yeah, all right. I'm like 100% in.
Yeah.
And I'll have ideas after, but like not like Laura's the generator. And so, we just realized there was no space that we could tune in to listen to the conversations we were having about leadership, about Disney. You even hear this, like, the term Disney adult is kind of a joke in not
it's a little
everywhere.
derogatory.
That's a term. I've never even heard that before.
It is. It's relatively new, but it is this idea, like a bunch of like adults who refuse to grow up, right? And like, and we were like, that's not why we go. Like, my reasons for going to Disney are, yes, all of the obvious ones, but also a lot that are like pretty deep, and they're deep for me, but they're deep for the world. Like, look, if you can take an empty orange grove and turn it into this, what could we do with the world? And so Laura and I realized, like, hey, there is no conversation like this that we can find. We should host it. And thus it became, and the last part I'll put in, then I'll pass the baton to my esteemed colleague.
Thank you, Her Royal Highness.
Yes, it's the fellow Royal Highness.
We really wanted our podcast to be a collaboration, and like that's really how we relate to each other as business partners and collaborators, accomplices, and all of the different combinations of partner. And the way that we wanted to create the podcast was something fun and creative that really captured all of who we both were and who we are together. And Laura's business is her name, which is perfect. For like, and my business name is it's the podcast is Wonderland and Company. And so, West of Wonderland is the marriage of both of our being.
And there it is. It's perfect.
Laura, I think I left some questions there.
It was so good. I mean, it's so fun to hear you talk about it. I think it was I was trying to think of when did we start virtually hanging out? Because we had like a weekly friend date that was just on the calendar. And I think it may have been 2018 because weren't we both renewing our PCCs that year?
Yeah, that's right.
Or something? Yeah, that sounds right.
Boy, nothing builds bonds like renewing ICF credentials. Wow, I mean, you talk about good
credential,
times.
It's so true.
Oof.
Yeah.
So true. I know. That fun panic right before the end of the year. Do they still send magnets for your fridge to remind you of your renewal date or no?
I'm going to guess not based on how last year went for us.
Yeah, seriously. That's funny. But yeah, I think like in terms of the content of it, so Bay mentioned this thing about the orange grove. And for those of you who don't know, Disneyland used to be an orange grove. And Walt Disney, the story that is frequently told about the conception of Disneyland is that Walt Disney had gone, I think, to a little carnival or a fair or a park or something, and was sitting on a bench watching his kids on a carousel. Maybe I'm getting all these details wrong.
No, you're right. You're right.
Getting carried away. But he had this thought that was like, it's so odd that like I'm not participating in this activity. Like, I wonder what it would be like if I could make a place where kids and adults can both have fun and feel celebrated. And in this, I love this as an example because so much of what Bay and I are looking at when it comes to this concept of imaginative leadership is what's possible when we take two different spheres that don't normally work together and actually create something where they get to coexist. So Disneyland and Disney parks is just one really cool physical example of like, hey, this idea of like, could it be fun for kids? Could it be fun for adults? What is that going to be like? And now they literally open up the gates every day and that place exists. And look at all of what it's created. Like it's probably bringing me in my lifetime so much joy, like more than anything that I could even really think of. So like, that is, I think, one of the cool places that we're always looking when it comes to our podcast is like, we're looking for the places where that's needed. You know, like if you think about new possibilities for large world problems, you know, we often have where people get stuck is in the gridlock. Oh, we have this system and this protocol and all of these things that are already in place. Oh, we also have this vision, etc., and this thing that we actually need to solve. If they weren't opposed, if they actually could, if you could be the leader who straddles both areas, who would you need to become? What are you going to achieve? What are the new things you can call people into? So we have a lot of fun. We love to discuss what's happening in the parks, and we like to break down leadership archetypes in different movies, and we talk a lot about our feelings about them. And we also do a lot of talk about the work we've done with our coaches and with our therapists. So I've gotten the feedback that it's just nice to hear from people who've been doing this for a long time. Like, you know, we have a good muscle and like our self-knowledge. And so it's just neat to hear us discuss the realms of like therapy and coaching the way that we do. Bay and I have a lot of really similar stuff to work on in therapy and coaching. So we have like enough shared lingo to like commiserate, you know, and also kind of share tips and tricks and stuff that we've learned from our healing work. So it's a lot of different things, but I think Bay said it really well. Like this thing about like, it's just a place where we really are true collaborators, and where like we get to, there's a person I am when Bay is being Bay that is different than any other version of Laura you're going to get. And like, I love that version of Laura, and I love that version of Bay. And so I think the podcast is just a really nice place where we get to like literally play
so much
and
fun.
Be very serious about things that are important. But I think that's it. So you can find us. We're on all major podcasting platforms. We're called West of Wonderland. And you can also follow along at the end of every episode. We actually have some homework assignments. So similar to a coaching session, how at the end of a coaching session, you'd spend some time looking at some actions and some practices and some takeaways. Bay and I always assign a couple of different things to go off and do some work on. So our Instagram, which is West of Wonderland Podcast, at West Wonderland Podcast, our social media friend Emily does a really great job of summarizing the homeworks from every podcast episode. So you can follow along there, especially if you're catching up. That's a really cool way to have it all just in one place.
I love that. Well, congratulations to you both. It's really fun. I mean, obviously, I'm a long time. I feel like I'm a long time podcaster. I'm like, when did I start this? Laura, you got me in your like year thing. I'm like, how many? So
I don't know. I feel like the span between 2019 and now is just like a weird vortex.
Like, when? What?
Did it happen? I don't know.
Is that a thing? Well, before we wrap up here, I want to do a little game again, because I was thinking about this, because I've got you both here. I just have to take advantage of it. So we're going to play some character identify game, because you know, we got some Disney aficionados here. What did you call yourself? Apostles, Disney apostles? Is that you're spreading the good word? Spreading the good word. So, and I'll play, and I'm going to play with you as well. So, Laura, you first. Who do you most identify with as a animated Disney character? Not Pixar, not a superhero, but like a Disney animated character.
Oh shit! I was gonna go with Joy from Inside Out, but like I can't go Pixar land.
Not yet.
You want me to go somewhere else?
We're gonna delineate Pixar from. We're gonna delineate hand drawn animation from computer animation.
Oh my god! Okay, I need a minute.
Bay, what you got for us?
Snow White.
Snow White. That's easy.
Yep.
What about you, Jason?
For me, I would probably go with Robin Hood, like the Fox Robin Hood.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that one in a long time, but I'm just a rule breaker. Robin Hood's like, yeah, the system's not great. Let's just do something about it. Like that's my inner rebel, which was buried awesome for a long time. So that, for me, and I don't remember who played him, if it was any sort of famous actor, voice actor or anything, but I remember he was cool.
No, I don't know his name.
But he looked cool. Robin Hood as a fox is perfect.
Yeah,
dude, we love that Robin Hood.
We discuss this frequently.
Oh, you have? I need to watch it again.
Jason, I don't know if you would be aware of this, but like watching that as a kid, like all women I know had a huge crush on that Robin Hood.
Oh,
yes,
I knew I liked him
yes,
for
we all
some
had
reason.
really big crush on him.
He's my fantasy who I wish I was.
Yes, he's got some swagger.
He does have a lot of swagger.
He's so great.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
totally
cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to watch it with my daughter.
It's so great. It's so good. I think I came up with my answer, which is I think I identify a lot with Miss Bianca from the Rescuers.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, that's great.
Her.
I don't know why that just came up, but like, she's just this adventurer. She's a world traveler. She is often not thinking about like the precautions that need to be taken, and yet things work out for her.
Yeah.
You know? And she has that cute pink beret.
Oh, I love
she's
her.
just so sweet.
That's great.
Yeah,
I haven't seen The Rescuers
Bianca.
in forever. That's a good one to watch with my daughter too.
Oh, it might not be actually because we recently reviewed these.
It's a little dark, isn't it? Isn't there a dark part of
It's
it?
really dark.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really
so
dark.
Like I watched it when it came out. I don't know how I watched it because we didn't have I don't know how I saw these movies. I was in rural Nova Scotia, but like now when I watch it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane for a children's movie.
Yeah, like watch it as an adult for the experience of like the hand-drawn animation, and the music is beautiful.
Yeah.
But it is like thematically, it's really distressing. Both of them. And I loved Rescuers Down Under. I even think Rescuers Down Under, when I met Cody, my husband Cody, I had this little hit of adrenaline because I also had a crush on animated Cody from The Rescuers Down Under.
Oh,
and I was like, he's going to be mine.
He's going to be mine.
It's happening now.
All right.
Happening.
We're moving to Pixar. Laura, you first. Pixar.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely Joy from Inside Out.
Yeah, Joy from... she's so good. That movie is amazing. I love that movie.
So true.
Bae, what you got for us from Pixar?
My name's Merida, and I'll be shooting for my own hand.
My Pixar is definitely Buzz Lightyear.
Nice.
Oh my God,
So
yeah.
good.
Which is, there's a new Buzz Lightyear movie coming out.
I know, I'm really excited.
There is the Lightyear movie.
Yeah, it's a Lightyear movie.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, is it Tim Allen? Is he playing is it Tim Allen's voice or is it somebody different? I haven't been paying attention to who's voicing Buzz.
I need to Google this. Why do I think it's Chris Evans?
I could see that.
I think it's Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks cool. It's an origin story. I always thought of Buzz Lightyear as kind of a superhero, but he was like an actual astronaut. If you've watched the trailer. Okay, so we got Pixar, Star Wars.
Okay.
Bae, you first. Who do you most identify with in Star Wars?
Ray.
Yep. That makes sense.
I love Ray.
Laura, what you got?
I feel like the right answer is
I know where you're going.
But I feel like my honest answer is that
You're going to get an honest answer from me too.
guys, I am C3PO.
The rule, like, this is the way we're going to do it, and
Yes.
You're like you're like the awkward one who's always a little bit behind, who's really useful.
Right, but no, if we follow the protocols, it will be orderly and it will work out. It will work out.
Oh my God. Laura, I'm picturing you from Return of the Jedi. You're like on Chewbacca's back, and you're like, I can't walk, I can't see, my head is on backwards. So you're giving a survival mechanism version. Mine is the ultimate survival mechanism. I am so Kylo Ren when I'm not happy. I'm like, it's everybody else's fault. Let me destroy these things. Let me rip apart this ship. I don't care who built it. You are going to listen to me and you're going to like it.
Oh my God.
You're like, I will literally destroy this Jedi Academy because I just have some feelings about it. And that's all you need to know. All right. So, oh my God, Laura, you as C3PO is so good. We're going to introduce you at the next time I see you. We're going to introduce you as our protocol droid. You're like,
well, it's so funny because it's like, it's so my survival mechanism. Like my essence is not that, but like, that's honestly was my answer. Great. It's like, that's the character I identify the most with in all of Star Wars. Yeah.
Perfect. So perfect. All right. And finally, Marvel, who do you got?
Oh God.
Well, this is tricky for Bae because Bae's Marvel character isn't Marvel.
What?
That's true. That's true.
Well, I have a strong belief that Wonder Woman should be in the
DC.
Marvel universe, and she should not
totally.
be DC. So, I love Wonder Woman. But I am my preference is always strongly. So I actually ran the Disneyland Avengers half marathon.
Cool.
Dressed as Wonder Woman.
People are either like, wow, that girl's got some, she's got something, or like, do you know where you are right now? That's like going to like Comic-Con and like saying that like Dune is a terrible movie, and like having people literally like, you are blacklisted from all nerd things.
Yeah, like you can never come ever.
You can never come back to Avengers again.
So I would say Wonder Woman, because she should be Marvel.
Yeah.
But if I really couldn't choose her, I'd be like, I'm pretty sure I'm Thor with my like obliviousness, but also great cape.
But we're talking like buff superhero Thor, not depressed fat Thor, or maybe both, like all of it.
I love depressed fat Thor.
I love all of Thor.
He's great. Yeah. He's a great character. Laura, what about you?
I'm gonna also give you my should answer and then my honest answer. So I think my should answer is like, I should identify most with Captain Marvel. Her like rage-filled power, it's just so exciting.
It saved the world. So cool. It literally saved the world.
Yeah. So freaking
Spoiler alert for those two people on the planet who haven't seen Infinity War and Endgame.
That's on you though. That's on you guys.
That is on you at this point.
Exactly.
That's definitely on you at this point. My honest answer is I think I probably identify most with Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
We just did a whole episode.
Unassuming, but like wanting to be great and like trying to stay at the big kids table. Like I identify a lot with that.
I like the juxtaposition of C-3PO as stiff as possible with Spider-Man, who is the most flexible and agile superhero ever created in the history of superheroes. Other than maybe like Elastigirl from Incredibles or something, but...
Totally, absolutely. 100%.
Right, Laura, this will be of zero surprise. I think we've talked about this. Mine, I am so Tony Stark because I don't have any superpowers, but I like to kill people with my mouth. And I just want to do it for like brute force and like technology. And my dream in life would be to have a Jarvis to wake up and be like, what are the two things I actually want to do today? And farm out the rest of this to a robot.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, I'm definitely awesome. Tony Stark. And he's also very judgmental, and so am I, which turns into my Kylo Ren, which then I just destroy everything.
I get it. So it's like a continuum.
It's like a Disney universe continuum. All right. So Bay, Laura Bay, your Royal Highnesses. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. It has been a true pleasure. As we always have on the show, tradition, as I broke some traditions, but this is the tradition I always stick with, is I would love if you would each leave us with words to wisdom, and they need to be short and sweet, fitted on a Post-it note. What do you got for us? And let's start with you, Laura. Words of wisdom.
Always putting me on the spot.
You're an improviser. Let's do it.
Touche. Words of wisdom. Follow your heart and let your head help you out.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. Is that a Laura Westman original?
Yeah, I just made it up.
I like it. If I was really, I was going to ask you how to say that in Jawa or in Jawa or some other what are the other 6 million languages that you speak? But we'll say that for another one.
Sounds good.
I'm never ever going to forget that image now. That is just too good.
Need some prep time for that one.
Yes, absolutely. And Bay, how about you? Words of wisdom.
I would say life is short, but the road is long. Be excellent to each other and have fun.
When you were saying that, I was thinking about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
So was I.
Excellent. It's a great movie.
You should know the first time I brought that in, I actually messed it up. So
is that quote from that film?
She did.
Is it from that movie?
Yes. No, be excellent. Be excellent to each other.
Yeah, be excellent to each other. Yeah,
the rest I just made up as though.
I love it. Well, again, Bay, Laura Bay, Royal Highnesses, royalty, Disney apostles, all podcasters, amazing women doing amazing things in the world. Thank you so much for being on and being with us today. And I hope that you'll come back on again soon, because we're just scratching the surface of some really interesting things here. So I'd love to have you back on again. I hope wish you all the very best with everything you two are up to.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
thanks for listening to another episode of Talking to Cool People with Jason Frizzell. If you enjoyed today's episode, please tell your friends. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and give us a shout out, or take a moment to leave a review on iTunes. If something from today's episode piqued your interest and you'd like to connect, email us at podcast@jasonfrizzell.com. We love hearing from our listeners because you're cool people too.